Hi, I'm Dr. Ashley Hilton from FutureDoc.co. I'm a medical school entry expert in the UK, and in this video I'm going to show you a quick method in 7 steps how to choose your medical school in under 5 minutes. And stick around for the end because I've got some awesome selection software that's going to help you go even quicker when choosing your medical school. Hey guys, so I'm going to quickly talk you through my 7-step process to choose your medical school. So here are, I think, the stages in which you should do it in, and after that I'll go through my medical school comparison tool, which is an awesome little bit of software that I've designed that helps you go through these stages and essentially decide in a few minutes which medical school might be the one that you're going to decide to study at and become a doctor eventually. The first thing I'd say is it's really important to be realistic about it and look at the grades. So it's probably the one thing at medical school that's really non-negotiable. They might have a little bit of leeway if they like you, but if you don't look like you're going to make the grades for a certain medical school, then you just won't get in, and it might be a waste of your 4 places that you can place on your UCAT application. So for international students it's slightly different, so you can call the medical admissions team and discuss your qualifications from your country and explain the situation, and they either have some set rules for that, or sometimes they go away and do it on a case-by-case basis. But essentially, you need to be realistic. If you don't have the grades to apply for Oxford University, then just don't waste your space on it. Don't waste that one place, because you've only got 4 and they're precious. So that can, for some people, rule out some universities. The second place to consider is the location. Now, a lot of people I know it sounds so obvious, but some people don't really think about the actual location that they're going to be living in. I mean, sure, the medical school might be great, but the city itself might just not appeal to them or not have any of their interests. So really consider what your values are, what hobbies you like doing, what's available there, and can you really see yourself living there, not just as a student but just in normal life. If you have things that you love doing, and let's say for example you're into ice hockey, and actually Birmingham, for example, has one of the best ice hockey teams in the country and has some great facilities. Now that would really be a really good fit. But if you, in that example, like ice hockey, and you go to Cornwall where there are no ice hockey facilities, then it just doesn't seem to make sense. So you've got to understand what you want to get out of the city and the university and pick accordingly. The third thing to consider is the course type. Now, the main ones to consider are traditional system-based learning, which is a lot of lectures, and they take each part of the body and do a whole module on that, and then they piece them together at the end. Whereas the new modern type of way of doing it is problem-based learning, where they will give you a case, or case-based learning is another kind of variant on that they do, where they'll give you a clinical scenario and you'll be expected in your own time to go away and learn it all yourself, and then you come back to group tutorials where you discuss it. Now, they're 2 very different styles of learning. One is a bit more sit back, spoon-fed, lecture-based approach, and one is a bit more hands-on, you go away and do the work yourself. So I think that's more about you knowing what type of teaching you prefer personally and picking one that's best for you. Fourth thing to consider is whether you'd like to do an intercalated degree. This is where usually after 3rd year, you take a subject and you do a 1-year either MSc or BSc degree, which gives you an extra qualification in a particular specialty that's usually science related. A lot of people like to do this. It's a good option. I personally didn't do it because I already did a foundation year and I'd already been at university an extra year and didn't particularly want to do one. But it's great for if you want to pursue an academic career, or if you have a specific area of interest that you like, or if the university itself is particularly renowned for a certain type of research. So if you know that you want to do research and you have a certain area that you particularly like, then it would be good looking up which areas of research that university specializes in, and see if it's something that would fit with what you want to do on your intercalated year. Fifth, we have cost. Now, cost is a few things. Firstly, if you're an international student, the fees vary widely depending on which university you go to. So you've got to take a good look at whether you can afford those fees. But secondly, the cost is implicated in the city that you live in. For example, studying in Hull is a lot cheaper than studying in London, and the cost of living is significantly different in these places. So you really need to consider what you can afford, whether it's going to have an impact on your student life, or whether it's something that's even feasible with the different costs implicated in living in the different cities. 6, I would say always go and visit. You can read as much as you like about the university and you can get a feel for whether it will be the kind of place that you'd like, but you'll never truly know whether it's the right city for you until you go and visit. I got offers from both Manchester and Cardiff, and at first I thought that Manchester just sounded like a better city, is a better university on paper, but it was only actually when I went to visit both that I actually didn't really resonate with Manchester. For me personally, it was too big. I didn't feel like a student community. But when I went to Cardiff, I really liked it. I enjoyed the vibe there. I really liked the student union. I really liked how everything was not too far apart, but again, not too campusy, and it was just exactly right for what I was looking for. So it was only from visiting that I actually realized that that was where I wanted to study. And actually, if you're visiting from abroad, it'd be a good time to tie that in with some work experience. So what you want to do is coordinate your work experience with the university open days. Open days are each university essentially opens up the university and allows any visitors to come in and have a look, and they host presentations and allow you to talk with students and give you a good idea of what it's like studying there and give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you have. So I'd strongly encourage you to Google search the university that you want to look at, and at the end put open days, and that will give you a list of available dates for you to go and do that. And finally, this is more of a minor one. If you have 3 of your 4 choices and you know exactly where you want to go, the 4th one, just consider what the aptitude tests are required for each university. For example, if you have 3 university choices that all require the UCAT, you've got to really consider if it's your 4th choice and you want to, and the 4th choice, if you're thinking of going for somewhere that requires BMAT, whether you really want to study for a whole nother exam just for the sake of your 4th choice. So maybe it's worth considering grouping them together with the same exams, especially if it's something that you're not that bothered about. But again, the aptitude test, the other way of thinking it is that you could do 2 and 2. And if you want to sit both the BMAT and the UCAT and you feel like you have time and you feel like they have the capacity for that, well then that might increase your chances of you doing well in one of them. And then if you were to, for example, not do so well in the UCAT and then you did well in the BMAT, that would give you better chances of getting in. But that's something you need to base on where you want to be and how sure you are about that final choice. So now let's have a look at this medical school selection software. Now this is an awesome bit of software that I have for my FutureDoc members who can sign in and have a look, and you can really quickly choose what medical school you want. So here's the medical school comparison tool. And what we have is a list of all the universities, which I'll show you how you can drag and drop in a second. But before we even get to that, we can actually start filtering the parameters that we want. So for example, let's say that you like the idea of an integrated course. And so you've put the filter, and then that leaves you with all the remaining universities that are integrated. Let's say then that you want to do you don't like the traditional panel style interview and you've prepared a lot and you like the sound of MMI interviews more, or you just want to find out which interviews are MMI. You click MMI and then that's narrowed it down further. And let's say that you want to do the UCAT exam. So UKCAT is the old term for it, but UCAT is also what it's called. So you click UCAT. So that gives you a list of all the universities that are integrated, that do MMI interviews and require UCAT. So there you have those universities there at your selection. You can also filter by fees. So for example, you can play with the fee structure for international students, and then once you've narrowed it down to a few universities, you can start comparing. So let's do this, for example, Liverpool. Let's compare Liverpool to King's College, to Birmingham, and let's take Nottingham. And now, side by side, you can compare all the available data on these universities. So for example, if you want to know whether you've got the grades, you can look at GCSEs and the subjects and compare the results that you need. Then you can also do, for example, the A-level requirements. We also have a section on international, so for IB grades, and then how the UCAT, because we've narrowed it down to just UCAT, universities requiring UCAT, so it can tell you exactly how the UCAT is used and whether they have a threshold score that you need. And then these for international and EU. And then just any further notes. Some we don't have anything worth, there's nothing, no more we need, but we tell you what type of dissection they offer. And usually they can tell you when the interviews are going to be, and typically when you're likely to hear. So this is an awesome tool for if you want. Give me a shout and I can let you have a play with it. And it really quickly helps you work out exactly what medical school is right for you. So I hope you like this tool. I hope you found this tutorial really helpful and it helps you choose your medical school really quickly, because it's one of the most important decisions you'll make. If you have any more questions, just hit me up at FutureDoc.co or subscribe to my YouTube channel, where we'll be having some more videos and tutorials on how to get you into medical school. Thank you.